You can't sit down until the kitchen is clean. Not won't, can't. The dishes are done, the counters are wiped, and there's still that one thing on the table that won't let your shoulders drop until it's put away. Other people relax in a messy room and don't seem to feel it, you feel it. The room presses on you until it's right. People read this as a virtue. They tell you they wish they were more like you, and you let them think it's discipline. But there are evenings when the sponge is in your hand before you've decided anything, when the calm you get afterward lasts about as long as the counters stay dry. What's moving your hands on those nights isn't tidiness. And once you see what it is, you won't be able to unsee it in a dozen other corners of your life. From the outside, a very clean house looks like the simplest thing in the world to explain. The person likes order. They were raised well. End of story. Look a little closer so the simple story starts to wobble. Because there's a difference between a person who keeps a clean house and a person who can't fully rest inside a messy one, and the two get filed under the same word. The first cleans and then forgets about it. The second is tracking the room even when they're not in it. They'll be at dinner somewhere else and feel a small background hum about the laundry sitting at home. They'll have guests over and spend a sliver of the evening managing the space instead of being in it, wiping a ring off the table mid-conversation, straightening a cushion the second someone stands up. The clean house isn't the strange part. The strange part is the timing. Watch when the cleaning intensifies. It's rarely random. It tends to spike right after a hard phone call, before a stressful day. In the middle of a week where something they can't control is pressing on them from somewhere else entirely. The scrubbing gets harder exactly when the rest of life gets less steady. That's the tell. A person cleaning a dirty house is solving a problem in front of them. This person is sometimes solving a problem that isn't in the room at all, and the reasons people reach for to explain that don't quite touch it. The easiest explanation is that this person is just naturally tidy. It's a preference, like liking the window open. Some are built neat, some are built messy, and this one drew the neat card. But preference doesn't have the edge this has. A preference is quiet. You can override it without anything happening in your chest. What this person feels when the room is wrong isn't a mild, "I'd rather it be clean." It's a low pressure that doesn't lift until they act on it. Preferences don't follow you into other rooms. This does. So a second story arrives and it sounds more sophisticated. They must have been raised this way. A strict parent, a spotless childhood home, a standard drilled in early. Sometimes that's part of it. But plenty of people raised in immaculate houses grow up to be perfectly comfortable in chaos, and plenty raised in mess become rigid about order. The childhood home story explains where the skill came from. It doesn't explain why the skill turned into a need. The third story is the flattering one, the one this person sometimes tells themselves. That a clean space helps them think. That they're simply more productive, more clear-headed, when things are in order. There's truth in it. A clear room can clear a mind. But notice the slippage, somewhere along the way. "I think better when it's clean" quietly became "I can't be okay when it's not." Those are not the same sentence. One is a tool, the other is a leash. What's actually happening underneath all three lives in a part of the person the cleaning is trying very hard not to look at? The real reason is that the house is the one thing they can control when something inside or around them feels like it can't be. A life is full of things that don't obey you, a diagnosis, a job that might end, a person who's pulling away and won't say why, a worry about a child, about money, about a future that refuses to come into focus. These things sit in the body as a kind of low static, a sense that something important is loose and you can't get your hands on it. The countertop, though, the countertop obeys, the floor obeys. The folded shirt does exactly what you ask of it and stays where you put it. So when the static rises, the hands go looking for something that will respond, and the house is right there, endlessly willing to be set right. There's a name for what's happening underneath. Psychologists talk about an external way of managing internal states, reaching for something outside yourself to settle something inside yourself. In plain words, the feeling is in here, but the fix happens out there. The anxiety lives in the chest. The relief comes from the sink. And it works, which is exactly the problem, because a thing that works is a thing you'll reach for again. This is why the cleaning spikes around stress. The person isn't dirty house averse. They're using the one controllable surface in their life to discharge a pressure that's coming from somewhere they can't scrub. For a lot of people, this is a quietly healthy thing. A clean kitchen at the end of a hard day is a small, real comfort, and there's nothing to fix in that. The body found a way to soothe itself that doesn't hurt anyone. But there's a version of this that turns slowly into something heavier, and the people living inside that version rarely notice the moment it stopped being a comfort and started being a cage. The cost is that a soothing habit, used often enough, starts to ask for more. What began as relief after a hard day quietly becomes a toll you pay every day. The threshold creeps. The room that used to need cleaning when it was messy now needs cleaning when it's fine. Because the feeling underneath was never really about the room. And a fix that doesn't touch the real source has to be repeated forever, because the source keeps refilling. You wipe the counter, the static drops, and an hour later it's back, looking for the next surface. Here's the part that's hard to say out loud. The cleaner the house gets, the less anyone, including the person living there, asks what the cleaning is standing in for. A spotless home is the most socially praised hiding place there is. Nobody stages an intervention for someone whose kitchen is immaculate. So the actual thing, the loose where the scrubbing was discharging, never gets looked at. It just gets managed, surface by surface, for years, and the habit doesn't stay contained to the house. It teaches you that the move for any uncomfortable feeling is to do something, fix something, tidy something, until the feeling goes quiet. So the grief gets a clean kitchen instead of a good cry. The fear about a marriage gets a reorganized closet instead of a hard conversation. A whole emotional life gets routed through a sponge, and it costs other people too. The kids who learned the house being perfect mattered more than the house being lived in. The partner who stopped relaxing at home because relaxing made a mess. Love can get crowded out by order slowly without anyone deciding to let it happen. That's the bill. Not a dirty house. A clean one that's doing a job it was never meant to do. If this is you, the way through isn't to let the house fall apart to prove you're free. That's the wrong correction. A clean home is genuinely good, and you don't have to give it up to get healthier. The shift is smaller and stranger than that. The next time you feel your hands reaching for the sponge when the room doesn't actually need it, pause, just for a moment, and ask what's loose. Not in the kitchen, in you. What worry, what unfixable thing is pressing right now that the cleaning is about to quiet down? You don't have to solve it. You just have to notice it's there, and that the counter was about to take the blame for it. That noticing is the whole practice. The static doesn't actually need a clean surface. It needs to be felt, named, sometimes spoken to someone. When you start giving the feeling its real name, the room slowly stops having to carry it. You might try something that feels almost wrong at first. Leave one thing undone on purpose. The cup in the sink. Then sit in the same room as it and watch what rises in you. The discomfort won't be about the cup. It'll be the loose thing underneath, finally arriving without a chore to hide behind. Stay with it for a minute. That's the rep. That's how the muscle for being okay in an unfinished room gets built. It won't be comfortable the first few times. Years of routing every feeling through your hands don't undo themselves in a week. But each time you let a room stay wrong and stay seated anyway, you teach yourself something the cleaning never could, that you can survive the feeling without fixing the surface. The discomfort passes on its own. It always did. You just never stayed still long enough to watch it go. And here's the gentler truth underneath all of this. You're allowed to be at rest in a space that isn't finished. The way you're allowed to be at rest in a life that isn't either. The dishes will still be there in an hour. So will you. The question is whether you can be at peace in the gap between. You can learn to. It starts the first time you let the room stay wrong, and notice that nothing in you falls apart. If any of this met you somewhere quiet, leave a comment and consider subscribing. There will be more like it.